All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching Morning Cafe. It's Health Thursday. This morning, we're talking about health and nutrition. Of course, this is something that impacts every household, especially at a time when, lifestyle diseases are on the high. So we just want to understand how we can take care of ourselves. Are we safe? Are we eating healthy and in the right way? And to help us with that, we have Kevin Mwangi. Kevin is a nutritionist. Karibu sana, Kevin, to Morning Cafe.
Okay, good morning.
Just start us off with the basics. What exactly does a nutritionist do?
So the term nutrition basically means we take care of you, or we take care of your health through food. So what a nutritionist does is we treat or manage complications through food. We guide you on how to live a healthy lifestyle through the use of food. That's basically what we do.
That's it.
That's simplified version of it.
All right.
It's more complex. It depends with the type of nutritionist that you are, but that's the basic foundation.
All right. Now, with that said, and then I just want to also invite our viewers to be part of this conversation on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X at TV47 News KE. There will be a number on your screen shortly. We will open the line so that you can call in. Of course, if you have questions for Mwangi in regards to food and how you should plan and prepare your meals. So with that said and done, Kevin, what is the relationship and the link between health and nutrition?
So there's a strong relationship between health and nutrition in terms of if we neglect our nutrition, we are more likely to become susceptible to various medical complications. If we make poor healthy choices, poor nutrition choices, we are more likely to develop illnesses, or basically we are basically inviting diseases into our lifestyle, into our life through our lifestyles. So neglecting nutrition basically means consuming foods without regard to the future effects of that food in your life. That's basically neglecting nutrition. Yeah.
Perfectly said. And right now we have so much information about, nutrition online. And, people will just wonder, where now should we draw the line between a professional advice in terms of what to eat, what not to eat, and overconsumption? Because I understand that overconsumption of information is also quite not nice in terms of what to eat, what not to eat. So how do we draw the line with this more information that we find there online?
When you go online, there is so much information. Some is true, some is a bit misleading. We call it Dr. Google. It's a common phrase we use in the medical industry. But the information that you find is not always accurate in terms of some of the data that is online is put there by companies that are trying to market their products. So you'll see that this product is good for you, it is nutritionally certified, or its nutrition benefit to you is an advantage in your lifestyle. Giving local examples, Uji Power. I'm sure most of you have heard about Uji Power. But what are the ingredients inside Uji Power? If you go to the supermarket, you'll find a label saying this is nutritious or it's good for you. It has these various health benefits. But that's not completely true. These are just companies using those words to market their products to you. So if you go online, the information there, most of it is not accurate. If you want to get the accurate data in terms of health and nutrition, look for peer-reviewed journals or articles, pieces of information that have been researched by qualified professionals, and it has been scientifically proven to be accurate. That's how you know this is accurate and it's true when it comes to nutrition and health, among any other topics. Yeah.
So exactly on the go, you're talking about in the supermarket and just trying to go through 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But before I even get that journal, how can I now decide and know that this is, it's nice in terms of nutrition, it's nutritious, it's going to help my health and not, just jeopardize it? How do I know on the go?
The easiest way to know something is good for you or is nutritious for you, it has to be organic. It has to be natural. Forget the processed or the ultra processed. It has to be organic. The more natural it is, the healthier it is for you. If you want to consume something that is a bit processed, consult a nutritionist. We will teach you how to read these food labels and how to identify what is good for you or what will harm you in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you say the more organic it is, the more healthy it is.
Yeah.
So that means that, say, avocado, apples, mapera, those things that they grow on trees, that they're automatically safe for eating.
So, yeah, if you find something or if you can acquire it from the local shopping center or from your farm if you have one, that is the best. An apple from the tree is better than an apple in juice form bought in the supermarket. Avocado from the tree is much better than a combination of ingredients that says this has avocado in it. It's good for you. Yeah, the more natural it is, the better it is for you. Yeah.
I also had an argument about, sometimes when these plants or fruits are being grown, there are chemicals that are used for manure and whatnot, and are they safe in terms of the healthiness of this fruit and the item being eaten?
Regarding chemicals in form of fertilizer, I have also come across various studies that point to that. It's unfortunate, but it does happen, not only in plants, but also in animals and animal products. So as an example, in plants, whenever you buy something, I would recommend wash it thoroughly. If possible, soak it in a combination of vinegar and water, or baking soda and water, bicarbonate and water. Soak it there for about 10 to 15 minutes, at most 20 minutes, then wash it under running water. That will remove most of the chemical herbicides used on that plant. If you can, I would recommend plant your own. Be sufficient, be self-reliant. Yeah.
You said sometimes apple fruit is better than, the apple juice.
Yeah.
But now what if I make that apple juice in my house? Does it still beat logic?
The apple juice that you make in your house is better than the one you buy in the supermarket. But the apple from the tree is much better than the apple juice you make in the house. You see, whenever we blend fruits, I actually need to clear the air on this. People who say that fruit juice is healthy for you is not accurate, is not 100% accurate. Whenever you're told you should go for juicing, consume these fruit juices, it's good for you, it's not 100% accurate. The reason I'm saying the apple is better than the homemade apple juice is because every time we make fruit juice, we're breaking down that fiber. By breaking down that fiber, we're exposing the fructose, which is the sugar in the fruits, to be easily absorbed into our systems. So we remove the fiber, we make the sugar easily absorbed, and that spikes insulin. Continuous intake or continuous production and consumption of this fruit juice leads to continuous fluctuations or spiking in blood sugar. This eventually leads to type 2 diabetes. So I highly recommend eat the fruit as natural as it is. The fiber is there for a reason. It is there to slow down the absorption of sugar and ensure there is continuous regulation of blood sugar and insulin in your bloodstream. Yeah.
All right. You've also mentioned something about type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
But you also talked about people should just ensure good nutrition so that we're not neglecting nutrition per se. But what are some of the nutrition health related issues that you've encountered, among Kenyans today? I know you've talked about type 2 diabetes. How does it now come along, aside from just, consuming this food that already has a lot of sugar with them?
Oh, there are so many ways one can get type 2 diabetes. Among them is consuming high sugar or highly processed foods or products. The next one can be genetic. If your ancestors or your parents, your grandparents were predisposed to diabetes, you're more likely to develop diabetes, type 2 diabetes. The other one is the foods that we consume. There's a study I read a while back. People from the central region or Mount Kenya region, they are more likely to develop type 2 diabetes. This is because of the food that they eat. The traditional food in those areas are very high in starch, very high in carbohydrates. However, there is a shift. Back then, people used to work hard, physically work hard. These days, the physical activity has gone down, but the food has remained the same. So high consumption of starchy foods leads to high sugar, blood sugar in your body, which eventually leads to type 2 diabetes. Another one is consumption of various products, key among them alcohol. Continuous intake of alcohol damages your liver and your pancreas. This will affect the production of insulin, and just like that, you are likely to develop type 2 diabetes. Yeah.
You've talked about carbohydrates. So there's a fear around ugali and of course chapati as well, that they're bad carbs. So how true is that? Na kuna mtu ameniambia nisikose kukuuliza about ngano.
It's okay. Ngano, wheat has developed a bad reputation. I don't know. Okay, I can explain why, but it's not 100% true. You see, there's a difference between today's wheat and the original wheat. The original wheat was less, had a lower carbohydrate load. However, due to starvation and drought, there was a change in the wheat, GMO basically. So the wheat today has a higher carbohydrate load. So due to the higher carbohydrate load, we find ourselves consuming a higher amount of carbohydrates, a higher glycemic index food. Top of that, how do we make the chapati? We add the cooking oil. Mandazi is in the list also. So that combination alone is very high in energy. So this spikes our blood sugar. So carbohydrate is not bad, wheat is not bad, but continuous intake, regular intake will definitely cause a problem. Yeah.
After how long exactly will we start seeing problems with, continuous intake of chapo?
I would say it's called a chronic complication for a reason. It takes time. So I would say around 5 years or more. If you want to be safe, I would say you can do the chapati, 1 or 2 chapatis once a week. That is within margin, as long as you're healthy, you're active. But if you're sedentary, you can do it maybe every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks.
I know that is
if
a topic
sedentary.
that is quite interesting to them.
It's complicated. It depends with who you are as an individual. But I would not say wheat is bad, but it does have its consequences if overindulged. Yeah.
So, for example, we see university students and we see chapo very, very prevalent. So are they more prevalent to diseases with that, everyday intake of chapati and beans?
Yeah, you remind me of my campus days. So the beauty of youth is our bodies are very fast to recover and utilize the energy. So the younger you are, the faster the body burns through that carbohydrate, through that wheat. So it will not have an effect compared to a 40-year-old. So if I am 40 years and I'm working in the office, I cannot eat the same amount of chapati a 20-year-old campus student is eating. That will be detrimental to my health. So again, it depends with who you are and what you do, or where you are in life, basically. Yeah. Same way, I cannot compare a 40-year-old, these people who go for mjengo work, the laborers. I cannot compare a 40-year-old laborer with a 40-year-old guy sitting in the office in terms of chapati consumption. There will be different effects. This guy is burning through those chapatis. This other one is just storing them in form of body fat. Yeah.
So the secret is to eat and then find a way to burn that fat.
As much as possible, yes. But we also have to factor in age. The older you are, the less active you're likely to be, no matter how much you try. Unless you really have to, it will be difficult. Yeah.
So kindly clarify, do we have bad carbohydrates and good carbohydrates?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So, per my understanding, bad carbohydrates are the simplified forms of carbohydrates. Anything that is excessively white, that I would highly recommend avoid it as much as possible. Go for the whole carbohydrates. By whole carbohydrates, I mean you take the plant, you grind it, then you use it. Rather than going to buy something that has been ultra processed and most of its nutrients has been removed. So if you want to make chapati, you can buy the white flour, but then mix it with wheat that you have ground yourself, mix it up so that you can get the benefit of both. Yeah. That is my solution personally, but
as a
others would say otherwise. Yeah.
Do you do it that way, Kevin?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Yeah.
So what exactly and how does a balanced diet look like for an ordinary Kenyan meal? How would you design that, a balanced diet?
Balanced diet. Okay. First of all, the word diet seems a bit restrictive. Every time I approach people and say the word diet, I can just see them cringe and they just expect restrictions and do not eat this or do not eat that. So I would say more of adapting to a different lifestyle. So a proper meal Are we talking about breakfast, lunch, or supper?
Let's start with breakfast, and then lunch, and then supper.
Okay, so breakfast, you've heard them say breakfast like a king. That is not entirely true. So when it comes to breakfast, I would say most people, the people that I interact with, I normally tell them, let us start light, something to wake up the digestive system. So when you wake up, I normally encourage people, have a glass of water or have a watery fruit. Let's say a piece of watermelon, just a small piece of watermelon, or have a glass of lemon water. After that, you can now have your breakfast. So what do you enjoy taking? Do you enjoy taking tea, coffee, porridge, whatever it is? No sugar. Let us remove the sugar, because the sugar is the type of carbohydrate I'm trying to eliminate. It's the simple carbohydrate. It's the simple starch that spikes blood sugar. So if you're having a cup of coffee, hot coffee, or cup of tea, enjoy it like that. Let us avoid the mandazis and the cakes, the biscuits. They are not really healthy for you. They normally eventually lead to insulin resistance. So enjoy your cup of tea. It can be a plain, or a cup of porridge, or a bowl of porridge, or oatmeal, or a cup of tea and arrowroots or sweet potato from the farm. That's enough for you. That is your complex starch and your drink for the day. Yeah.
How about lunch?
Lunch is where I focus on the starch now. Past lunch, I would normally say avoid starch. But for lunch, enjoy your starch. So you can have your chapati, as you mentioned. The next chapati will come a week after or 2 weeks afterwards. You can have your ugali. When it comes to ugali, guys, if you can do cassava ugali, the better. It has a lower glycemic index compared to maize ugali. Maize ugali is okay, but it still leads to a blood sugar spike compared to cassava ugali. So you can have your ugali, you can have your vegetables, and you can have your meat. Or you can just have your ugali and meat. For people who enjoy traditional foods, you can have your githeri, you can have your mukimo, but make sure lunch has vegetables. It's extremely important. Yeah.
So whatever you eat during lunchtime can also be eaten during the supper time?
Not entirely.
Okay.
Again, starch, carbohydrates, it should not go beyond lunchtime.
Okay.
The reason being, around 5 p.m. there, our bodies cool down, they slow down. So breakdown and utilization of energy has reduced greatly. So whatever we consume past around 4-5 p.m. is stored in form of body fat. So when it comes to supper, I normally encourage protein and vegetables. That's it.
Because I was wondering, you didn't mention proteins. I was wondering, why is proteins coming?
I normally reserve it for the end of the day. So when it comes to supper, just focus on protein, animal protein or vegetable protein, whichever you prefer, and vegetables. Make sure there's vegetables every meal, especially lunch and supper. Yeah.
You know, some people say that skipping breakfast is quite dangerous.
Okay.
How true is that? Because some say that when you skip breakfast, then it feels that desire to overeat later in the day.
Yeah.
How true is that?
That is very, very true, especially for those who work. They normally go to the offices. So you rush out of the house and you skip breakfast. I'm assuming this is not intentional. There are those who skip breakfast because they're fasting. So if you unintentionally skip breakfast, you're likely to consume processed foods while in the office or in the workplace, which is worse for you compared to homemade breakfast. So it's better you take your time, you take your cup of tea and ndoma or arrowroots, than to rush to the office, take your cup of tea and bread or mandazi or mkate, bread or mandazi or pancakes and all other stuff. Yeah.
You talked about sometimes when you mention dieting, people look at it as a very critical thing.
Yeah.
But now there's also a confusion between dieting and eating healthy.
Okay.
Differentiate the two for us.
Dieting is restrictive. Dieting is very restrictive. Some of my clients, I normally recommend them to diet and I create a meal plan for them. So when you say diet, it means you have to eat these specific foods and you cannot eat these specific foods. That is dieting. But when it comes to lifestyle change, you are aware that these foods are not good for me, but I can enjoy myself as a human being, as a person who wants to enjoy the pleasures of life. I can enjoy them once in a while. That is lifestyle change. But dieting, no matter what, you cannot eat these foods. Dieting, I normally recommend them for people who want to reverse medical complications. So you have hypertension, you have diabetes, you have kidney failure, we have to put you on a diet. But you're an average person, maybe you have a complication here or there, but it's nothing severe, you just want to become healthier. Then I recommend a lifestyle change. That's the difference. Lifestyle is a bit more flexible, dieting is restrictive, very restrictive.
So how does a lifestyle change look like? When you're talking about dieting, is for maybe people who are sick. If you're looking at it from the lifestyle perspective, how does it look in real life?
First of all, lifestyle change requires education or knowledge. Visit a nutritionist. We have to understand how you live. What is your everyday to-day lifestyle, choices, activities, and all that. What can you access? Based on that, we now create a lifestyle for you. Let me use the office work as an example. You're in the office by 8, you leave by maybe 4 or 5. Most of the time you're behind the desk. You do not need that much energy. So for your lifestyle, we would recommend before you leave home, you have to focus on these types of foods. Most of the time, I would recommend fruits or high fiber foods. They'll leave you fuller for longer. Lunchtime, if you cannot carry food from home, you can skip lunch. However, if you skip lunch, when you go home, you cannot have your starch or carbohydrates. Focus on protein and vegetables. But if you can carry food from home, enjoy your meal. Make sure it has starch and vegetables. After you enjoy your meal, go for a walk. You have to go for a walk after every single meal, at least 30 minutes walk. It's crucial to balance your blood sugar and to enable proper digestion. That is the office worker. So it depends with what you do, who you are. But for a lifestyle review, first we have to talk to you, understand your life, what you can access, what you cannot access, what you're comfortable with. Then we design a proper lifestyle for you. Yeah.
Let's go back to the point on carbohydrates. What is the correct portion size for carbohydrates in a meal?
It has to be at least, I normally say 40% of your meal should be carbohydrates, because carbohydrates is the pure source of energy for your body. So it's 40% should be starch or carbohydrates. But if you're not active, you can reduce it to maybe 30. Depends with your activity level. Yeah.
So how do we know the percentage? Say I'm taking chapati, I'm taking ugali. How do I know that this chapati is 40%, it's 30%? 2 or 3 or 4, how do you measure this percentage?
Okay, let me use myself and you for example. We do the same thing. I can take 2 chapatis, you can take 1 chapati. The reason being my energy needs are higher due to our difference in biology. But I would say a maximum of 2 is enough. When it comes to rice, you've heard people say a handful or something like that. They are not entirely wrong about that. Again, it depends with your activity. If we are seated the whole day, that handful of rice is enough. Then a handful of vegetables and a handful of meat. That's enough. Yeah, that's how you measure.
Na kama mtu hajashiba?
Kunywa maji.
Water solves all the problems.
Drink a cup of water, but I always encourage you, drink water before a meal, not afterwards, at least 30 minutes before a meal. If you do not want water, you can try a fruit 40 minutes before a meal. So you can have your apple, you can have your banana, you can have your mango 40 minutes before a meal. So the higher the fiber in that fruit, the more likely you are to be full after you eat your lunch. Yeah. So, but fruit I normally say after breakfast or during breakfast, but never past 3 p.m. Again, fruit is high in fructose. That sugar will lead to blood sugar spike, leading to fat accumulation. Yeah.
So are these being used to counter hunger?
It is used to counter hunger. At the same time, it is a great form of antioxidant. Antioxidants get rid of the free radicals found in the body. So fruits are good for you. They can be used to create satiety and make you healthier. Yeah.
When we're talking about dieting and it being for those people who are mostly sick and just trying to help them also live a healthy life, are we trying to say that people should stay away from weight loss diets?
I can't say that. You know, there are those who have a BMI of 35 and above. You need an intervention. You have to change. You need a diet. You need a strategy that will help you lose weight. So there are so many ways to lose weight. It depends with where you are. If your BMI is 35 and above, you can take drastic measures to lose that extra weight for your health. But if it's around 30 and below, we can take it slow. We have a bit more time. Depends with where you are. So dieting is necessary for those who have a high BMI or high body fat content. But if yours is slightly higher than average, we can take our time. Yeah.
From a nutritionist perspective, is intermittent fasting a better option and a safer option?
I do encourage intermittent fasting. Personally, I do practice intermittent fasting. It's not only good for your for your health, it's good for your gut. Give your gut time to breathe, to give it a break. So intermittent fasting is good. However, I normally encourage it during the evening hours. So for a start, I normally say do 12 hours, 12. So from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., just enjoy a glass of water or lemon water or herbal tea. But from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., you can have your meals. It's a great way of maintaining a healthy structure. Yeah.
Does the 12-12 work for everyone, regardless of whether you're healthy or not?
No, it does not work for everybody.
For those who are sick, say those with diabetes, those with medical conditions, then what is the better option for them if they want to go the intermittent fasting way?
For diabetes, you can do fasting. You can even do 14 hours fasting. It's manageable. For others, it depends with who you are, where you are. If it's too difficult, I normally say start with 8 hours. That's the easiest way possible. So you can say from 7 p.m. until maybe 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., nothing. Intermittent fasting is practical. It can be done for everybody, but there are complications that do not allow you to fast. You can, for pregnant women, I would not recommend it. The elderly, I would be cautious around it. You will need to consult with a nutritionist and a physician. We have to know where you are. So it depends with who you are as a person. But fasting, I would normally recommend intermittent fasting. Yeah.
We've also heard about good fats and bad fats.
Yeah.
Explain to us how a fat can be bad and good at the same time.
Are we talking about internal fat or the ones that we consume?
Both.
Oh, okay. So the good and bad fat, let me start with the one internal. There's something called HDL, high density lipoprotein. That is the good cholesterol. I'm sure you've heard the term cholesterol. So that's the good cholesterol. Then we have the LDL. That's the bad cholesterol. That's the bad fat. So the LDL is what clogs the arteries. From a size of this, it continually shrinks, which is actually very risky. It can break apart and cause a stroke or heart complications. So that the good cholesterol, the HDL, is what removes the bad cholesterol, the LDL. So the LDL is brought about by bad fat that we consume. So the bad fat is the fat that is found in fast foods, fried foods. That is bad fat. That is dangerous fat, which normally leads to the high LDL. The good fat, the HDL, is normally increased by physical activity and good oils or good fat. So the avocado, consume your seeds, consume your nuts, consume your omega-3. Those are the good oils, the good fat. Yeah.
There's also this concern around red meat. Is it safe?
Around?
Red meat.
Red meat?
Yes.
Red meat, that's an entirely different story, but let me break it down a bit.
Okay.
So red meat is okay. Most people are worried about red meat because of the saturated fat found in animal products or animal protein, sorry. However, saturated fat, though too much can be risky, but moderate intake is preferred, is okay, because cholesterol is made out of that fat. We need cholesterol to create hormones. The mind needs the healthy oils or the healthy fat, which can be found in that saturated fat. So saturated fat is okay, but too much is dangerous. So don't worry about the red meat, it's okay. People are also worried about the red meat because of the high acidity it causes in our bodies. If you can do twice a week, you're okay. So you can say Monday and Wednesday or Monday and Thursday, you're okay. The other days, consume white meat. So it can be the fish, it can be the chicken, it can be the liver, or it can be, what's the other? Tripe, matumbo. Yeah.
All right. And many Kenyans eat meat regularly because some say that, you know, it's the best source of protein. But for somebody, say, who can, because we cannot assume that everybody can eat meat every day and can afford meat. So what are the best protein alternatives for somebody who cannot afford meat or eat meat every day?
Meat is the best source of protein, but you have other alternatives. You have eggs. You can have your eggs. You can have your tripe that I mentioned earlier. It's a bit more affordable than red meat. You can have your vegetable sources of protein. So here's where the lentils, the chickpeas, they come in. Beans also has a bit of protein. The black beans too. Not the commander. The njahe. It also has a bit of protein. Yeah, those are other alternatives.
So njahe is actually nice.
Njahe is good. Beans are okay. The legumes, the kamande, those are good for you.
How many times a week, ideally, should somebody take red meat?
Red meat, at most 3. At most. Red meat takes time to digest and pass the digestive system. So if you take it on a continuous basis, it will pile up, it will accumulate, which will be toxic for your blood and your digestive system. Yeah.
Let's talk about now water. You talked about water being so important and inclusive of fiber, how and why we should take it before everyday meal. But we used to be told in school, of course, that somebody should take at least 6 glasses of water. Yeah. So ideally, as a nutritionist, now that you're sitting here, what is the ideal glasses of water that an adult should take in a day, or even a child?
Again, it depends with who you are or your activity.
For water?
For water, yeah.
Okay.
The guy sitting in the office can comfortably take 1.5 liters. The guy out there in the sun can take 3 liters comfortably. It depends with who you are. But as a measure, I normally say, if you can do a mouthful of water every hour between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., you're okay. But again, it depends with your activity level. Yeah. Too much water is harmful to you also.
Too much water is harmful?
Yes, too much water is harmful.
Help us debunk that.
By taking too much water, the body, I don't know if you guys have ever felt it or experienced it. Every time you consume too much water, you're constantly rushing to the washroom. The body is trying to balance the excess water to avoid diluting the electrolytes in the body. So if the body is unable to get rid of the extra or excess consumption of water, it will enter into your cells, which will dilute the electrolytes, which will be an issue, electrolyte imbalance and all that. So overhydration is a big issue. It's even worse than dehydration. So I normally say it depends with who you are or what you do. Consume enough water for your needs. If you're not very active, 1.5 liters is enough. If you're extremely active, 3 liters is enough, or even more. Depends with who you are. Yeah.
What are the risks for somebody who falls short, on taking just the enough amount of water in a day? Say the one that could lead to dehydration or almost just there.
Okay. Our bodies require water to regulate temperature for proper functioning of the organs and for blood. So if you do not take enough water, your blood pressure will be affected. The functions of your organs will be affected. There will not be enough fluids to sustain the organ function. So here you start hearing about the kidneys are starting to shut down, or to basically shut down. You've heard of kidney stones. That is also a factor. Your brain requires water. Every single organ in your body requires water. So without enough water, they will not function properly. And that's how you're more likely to develop various medical complications. So we do need to take adequate amounts of water, but it depends with who you are or your activity.
How do you measure that for a child?
A child?
Yes.
In the medical field, we say around 30 mLs per kg of body weight. That's enough. So a child of 10 kgs, you can say 30 mLs times 10. That's around 300 per hour. That's enough for the child. Yeah.
So it goes weight by weight?
It goes weight by weight.
Not year by year?
No, not really. Okay. So, okay, per year, the child is also gaining weight.
Okay.
So weight is the constant here.
Yeah. All right. Still on that issue of children's nutrition, what are the most important nutrients that should be there in a child's meal?
The most important, per my view, is omega-3. We need the child to have a fully functional and healthy brain. The child also needs a good source of protein for building the body. So if the child can consume animal protein and vegetable protein, the ones that I've mentioned earlier, in equal amounts, the child will grow at a good rate. Starch, carbohydrates basically. The child needs energy for development, and they are normally very active, very hyper. Children are always running everywhere, so they need a good supply of energy. So when it comes to children, there's no need to regulate them or tell them, no, you cannot have bread, have this instead. Let them enjoy themselves, because they're using that energy, they're burning up that energy, and they're using it to grow also. So children, I would say, let them be free, enjoy every meal, but make sure there are vegetables to boost the immunity, there's protein to enable growth, and there's carbohydrates to provide them with energy. Yeah.
So what signs can a parent watch out for in case of, say, a deficiency?
For deficiency, we normally look at the eyes. A child with pale eyes, there's probably an issue. Thin hair, loss of appetite. A child who is not eating properly, there might be an underlying issue somewhere. What else? You also look at the growth rate. There is a measurement we normally use in the clinical setup to measure the growth of a child, a percentile. So if you're concerned that your child is not growing properly physically, take them for a checkup. Consult with a nutritionist. Let us assess that child in terms of percentile growth rate. And if you see that their hair or their skin is a bit off, take them to a physician. Let them review the child. Yeah.
Kevin, we've also seen and heard of obese children.
Yes.
You're saying that, we should just let children be free and not try and regulate them. Then how are we going to keep their health in check and also ensure that they're not going, the obese way?
Okay, today children are a bit different. There are those who spend most of their day playing video games or online games. Those children are not active. When I say let them be free, I mean the kids that are always running around are outside playing. When it comes to the ones who are constantly online, stimulating their minds through video games, the activity is a bit low. There you have to be a bit cautious. Also, there are a lot of children's snacks in the supermarkets that I normally discourage. Your child can have the tea and bread, that's okay, and spread, that's okay. But when it comes to these cereals that are found in the supermarkets, that you add, let's say, syrup or honey and sugar, that is not okay. That will definitely lead to childhood obesity, eventually leading to a child developing type 2 diabetes, of which cases of children developing type 2 diabetes are on the rise because of this lifestyle. So let your children enjoy the tea and the bread, but avoid as much as possible these ultra-processed. I call them ultra because they have absolutely nothing to give except sugar. Avoid the ultra-processed foods. They are very harmful to the child. Yeah.
If you're talking about a school-going child, as a nutritionist, say a parent comes to you for, a meal plan, how would you ideally come up with, a lunchbox idea for this child?
Okay, this is something I've done before. Is your child playing any games or sports? Is the child a part of a team? So I need to know about the activity level. Also, depends the age of the child. A younger child has different requirements to an older child. So if I take the example of a grade 5 child who is playing sports, is part of a team, I will ensure that that child has high protein intake, especially during the lunchtime, for muscle growth. I'll also ensure they have a high intake of fruits. The antioxidants are extremely important for them to boost the health of that child. We can also regulate the starch a bit because the child needs energy to play out there. That is lunch. But when it comes to the evening, we have to shift it around. So when you come for a lunchbox idea, I also have to insist that we also have to look at the evening hours, not only for what they eat during in school, but what they eat afterwards, depending with the activity or the goal of the child, or the goal of you as the parent for the child. Depends with what you want exactly. Yeah.
All right, let's go back to adults. We see some skipping meals during the day. Of course, we're talking about intermittent fasting, the 12-12, the 16-8. But we see people skip meals during the day and then they binge eat, say, during the night. So what effects does that have on digestion and also weight gain?
So basically, this person has stayed hungry the whole day until the evening hour. That's where they have one large meal. We call it the OMAD type of meal, 1 meal a day. I normally discourage it. It's not good for your system. It's not good for your body. It's not good for you as a person. So if you take a person and you deny them food and then you give them access to food, that person is likely to overeat. The body is likely to store most of the food in form of fat because it does not know when the next time it will have access to food. So if you're practicing 1 meal a day, you're likely to store more body fat as the body's form of survival to ensure that it has enough until the next time you have a meal. So you'll store more fat if you eat once a day, especially during the end of the day where the activity is low. So if you want to fast, I normally encourage, supposing you're doing the 16-8, during those 8 hours, have at least 3 meals. They don't have to be extra large meals. They can be portioned. Make sure there are vegetables in that meal. That way your caloric intake will be low and your body will not panic in terms of, I don't know when I will get my next meal, so it will not store a lot of body fat. So fasting is okay, but having 1 meal a day, especially at the end of the day, is likely to lead to medical complications, if not obesity. Yeah.
How about somebody who, binge eats? I know it's not a good thing, but somebody who binge eats, he or she eats only at night, but now they work out.
Now,
Does that also count?
Working out is a plus, but at the same time you're straining the body. Okay, the body will adapt eventually, but it's still being strained because you only have access to 1 meal a day. So most of it will be stored as a safety precaution. Again, your energy output is high, but your input is low. So you will lose weight. If you're trying to lose weight, you will lose weight, but you're straining the body. So eventually you will get to a point where the body, you will not have a lot of energy because the body is trying to preserve energy, self-preservation. And you will store most of what you consume in the form of body fat. So working out is good, but 1 meal a day while working out might be more harmful than beneficial in the end. In the long run, basically. Yeah.
So what are the best hours of the day to have your last meal? From a nutritionist perspective, what would you recommend?
Latest 7 p.m. Latest, absolute latest 7 p.m. And we're talking about protein and vegetables. That's it. No starch, no carbohydrates. Yeah.
What are the dangers of eating past that time, the 7 p.m.?
Supposing I'm going to bed by 10 p.m., I consume my last meal at 8 or 9 p.m. The body has not finished digesting that meal. So as I sleep, the body is digesting. That energy, the food is normally converted to energy. That energy is not being used. Most of it will go into fat reserves, fat stores. Another thing, your digestive system is not taking a break. You need to take a break. When you're awake, space your meals at least 4 hours. So if you have your breakfast at 8, wait for 4 hours before you have your next meal, including a fruit. Give it time. So if you have your breakfast at 8, 4 hours from 8, that's around 12. You can enjoy your fruit at 12, then have your lunch at 1. Once you have your lunch at 1, wait for another 4 hours before you have your next meal. Ideally, minimum 4 hours, ideal 6 hours between meals. Yeah. So if you are going to have your supper, let's say 7 p.m., you can do 12 hours comfortably, have your next meal at 7 a.m. Give your gut time to rest and deny your body the chance to store body fat in form of excess energy. Yeah.
Does this also apply for the people who work in offices, those in corporate?
Especially those who work in offices.
Saa moja ndio mtu akogoka anangoja matatu, Kevin.
Yeah.
At 7 p.m., there are some people who are still waiting for
you're waiting for matatu. You leave office, let's say by 6, you do other things. You can have your late lunch, and that's it. You can have your lunch at 3 p.m. Wait until the next day. You are sedentary. Your activity is low. You don't need all that energy. It will take you time to adapt because the body automatically will fight any change in your regular activity. But you don't need the energy. You don't need all that food. It's not being used. So if you're an office person, you can have your breakfast at 9. You can have your lunch at 3 p.m. That's enough. In between, you can have a few fruits. Normally, I would say have 2 to 3 types of fruits per day. That's it.
How about people who must take tea before they go to bed? say he or she took their last meal at 3 p.m. and you know they've gone home and now they want to just have something before they go to bed. Is tea, fruits something that you would recommend?
Tea is full of caffeine and tea dehydrates the body. So if you're going to have tea, have it at 6 p.m., have it at 7 p.m. That's enough. At least space your time at least 3 hours before bed. Try to avoid anything that stimulates the body, including tea or coffee. If you're hungry and you just got home maybe by 8 p.m., have an egg, boil an egg or two. That's okay for you. But you don't need to have a plate full of food. It's not necessary. If you're going to have tea, give it at least 3 hours before going to bed. Yeah. So if you have your tea at 7, go to bed at 10.
All right. Yeah. We also have people who are trying to lose weight. And of course, we've talked about intermittent fasting. Yeah. Not everybody can do that. So what is the safest way of somebody, you know, trying to lose weight? How can they do it in a safer way? Of course, without starving themselves and without using diet pills.
The first step is to always cut out anything that leads to weight gain. And the major culprit in weight gain is ultra-processed foods. So you have to immediately cut off any food that comes from the supermarket, that comes in bright colors from the supermarket. That is ultra-processed. You do not need it. It leads to weight gain. Cut it off. The next step is consume organic foods, foods that are high in fiber. Not too much fiber, but just right amount of fiber. Too much fiber normally leads to constipation. So just enough amount of fiber. 2 meals a day should have fiber, should have vegetables. Fruits are your friends. Ensure you consume 3 to 4 types of fruits per day. Trust me, you will gradually lose weight. However, if your BMI is up there, I'm talking about 32, 35, 40 and beyond, you can take more drastic measures. Here is where I would allow, or I would understand if you go for other alternatives. I'm sure you've heard of various injections going around where people use an injection to suppress their appetite and to slow down food movement through the system. That normally leads to weight loss also. The most common one that I know of is the Mounjaro injection. You can use that. If your BMI is up there, you need to lose weight drastically. That's okay. It will help you because we are trying to avoid medical complications from developing, but not for a long time. Don't do it for a long time. Well, as soon as you drop some kgs, switch to the natural way of losing weight. Yeah.
Speaking of kgs, what is the right amount of kgs, and safe as well, that somebody should lose? Let's say in a day or in a week or in a month.
I would say in a week, 1 kg, just 1 kg a week. That is safe. You can lose 1.5, but don't go beyond 1.5. If you find yourself losing 3 kgs a week, you might develop complications. But to be safe, 1 kg to 1.5 kg a week, that is safe. Yeah. If your BMI is up there.
What complications are these?
So the drastic or sudden loss of weight, you don't know what you're losing. So instant weight loss, 1.3 kgs, you might be losing a lot of water from your body, you might be losing muscle, and you might be losing bone density. To burn fat, the body takes time. It requires time to break down the fat and to use it as a source of energy. 1 week is not enough to lose 3 kgs of body fat. It's not possible. So 1.5, it's doable, but 3 kgs, not so much. You're likely to be losing more water than you're losing body fat. Yeah.
I'm asking because I know I have lost more than 1 kg before.
1.5 is okay, but anything above 2.5 or 3, that might be risky.
All right. Yeah. If you're talking about safest ways, of course, to lose weight, like you've mentioned, how important is physical activity during that time? Extremely important. We need to increase our activity so that we can increase the energy output of the body. Without that energy output, the rate of fat breakdown will be slowed down because the body is adapting. But the minute you increase physical activity, let's say you are starting to lose weight, after about 2 weeks, the body will stagnate because it has adapted to your new lifestyle. Here's where you introduce workout. Go to the gym. There are so many gyms everywhere you look. Go to the gym, start light. Your body will continue to break down fat.
After another 2 weeks, it adapts. Increase the intensity. So physical activity is extremely important. As you start to lose weight, make sure that after every meal, you take a 30-minute walk. It will help you greatly in burning that energy and losing weight. After that, increase the intensity, step by step. Yeah.
Now, Kevin, as we wind up, what are we doing wrong in terms of nutrition as a people that you would say that we need to stop and you would not encourage?
What we are doing wrong is not being cautious or not looking ahead. You see, most of us out here, we are saying the term, I don't know if it has faded away or I'm a bit old school. There's this term that used to go, YOLO, you only live once. So that applies to everything we do, including or especially our nutrition or our health. That is what we're doing wrong. Let me enjoy, it's Tuesday. There are normally offers on Tuesday. Let me give you an example of pizza. So I'll take a box of pizza and enjoy it on my own because I only live once. Hakuna kesho ama tujui ka kesho ni promised. We are basing today's judgment without considering tomorrow's effects of our judgment when it comes to selecting foods. So we carelessly make choices. We eat whatever we want. We eat whatever we see because it makes us happy. I would say eat for tomorrow. Eat for the next generation. That's what I would say. If you are a parent, you have to make sure you're eating food that will ensure you are there for your children tomorrow. By tomorrow, I mean years to come. But if you're not cautious about what you eat, you are likely to develop health complications, which will affect not only you, but those around you. So every time you make a choice when it comes to food, think about tomorrow. The effects of that food will have on your body tomorrow, or next year, or the year after that. Yeah.
All right, finally, where can we find you? If I want to come for a meal plan or just to organize myself in terms of nutrition and to take care of my health.
So you can find me in Gong Road, the 5th Avenue building, Gong Road 5th Avenue. I'm normally there, 7th floor. You can find me there. The place is called Halcyon. You can find me there Monday to Friday from 8 to 5. Online, you can find me as the Kenyan nutritionist. Here is where I normally educate the public on how to live a healthy lifestyle while still enjoying the pleasures of life. So if you want a one-on-one, come find me at 5th Avenue, Gong Road. If you want online, just reach out to me via Instagram, Facebook, the Kenyan nutritionist. Yeah.
All right, that is Kevin Mwangi, a nutritionist. Thank you so much, Kevin, for taking us through the benefits of nutrition and what we need to do and what we need not to do.
Okay.
That brings us to the end of this segment, Health Thursday. You're watching Morning Cafe. Stay with us.